Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, put your feet up. It's time for the Other Three Amigos podcast with Declan McCormack, Wayne Mullins and Dan.
Three lads, one podcast.
On this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast, a lot of the players care, but maybe not all of them. Thank Christ for Bo's existence to take the heat off of us. Players drinking after relegation, bad form or acceptable. Decky will be getting the shit kicked out of him in the not-so-secret garden. Will the whole of Turner's Cross be jacking off next year? And last but not least, the player ratings for 2023. All this and much more on this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast. Yes, it is TOTAP Season 3, Episode 66, Episode 174 in total, your award-winning podcast for 2022. And yes, we will be saying that for the end of time. A reminder, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/TOTAP. Be sure to retweet the pod as it's so important to help us grow. NordVPN back sponsoring us. A VPN is very important to secure your browsing and privacy. If you have never tried it before, now is certainly the time. Please click on nordvpn.com/TOTAP. Do it now and spend 30 seconds on the page. Do it now. Decky, would you recommend a virtual private network?
Absolutely. I mean,
but
you have
especially
to have
this
one these days, and obviously NordVPN would be my VPN of choice, my go-to VPN whenever one is needed. So, can't recommend it highly enough.
Well, I've just introduced you there. You are one of the other two amigos that I am with. Wayne Mullins, you in fact are the other one. How are you keeping?
I'm okay. Considering this week, you know.
We really don't know what way it's gonna go. Like, is anger gonna be unleashed, or is it just
this was said before we started recording? Like, I don't know how this is gonna go. It's like the calm before the storm, but do we care anymore about these lads?
I don't think the fans really gave much of a shit, to be honest, is my feeling leaving it. I certainly wasn't half as upset as I thought I would be, to be quite honest.
They always say, like, if you're angry, it means you care. But when you're not angry, that's when you start getting worried about something, you know?
Yeah.
And I left the ground at straight after the final whistle. I just walked out. And I just listened to boy band music, crying away on the way home. I was fine then when I got home.
Was
for 10-1.
The forums as glorious as you thought it would be?
Do you know, I don't think people really, not that they don't give a shit, but they don't. I think people just have enough of this.
Yeah,
it's a lot harder to take than the last time, I think. But I think people were resigned to it, whereas we always had hope the last time, even under Fenn and Healy. This time we kind of just knew.
Yeah,
deep down we all knew we were screwed, didn't we?
I think so. Look, for Academy Roundup wise, we beat Waterford 2-1. Our development squad are under 13s. The women's senior team, I think, was it 5-1 lost to Shell's Decky. And Zara Foley got to walk out the team for the final time.
Yeah, it was 5-1 defeat. But look, if I say so, I think this week's Last Damas is a cracker. John O'Sullivan has a complete meltdown about referee. We've goaded the shit out of Shamrock Rovers to the point where today their players are starting to react to Eileen online. So like we've been under their skin. We know we've been under their skin for a while, but it's finally they're breaking out now. So it's glorious. It's perfect. It's the perfect hat trick. In the one pod, we get a go off Shamrock Rovers, a go off Shells, and a go off Bows. You can't ask for much more in this terrible, terrible week.
Yeah, that was the Academy Women's Roundup, but we know you're only here for one thing. We'll just hit the Commie Watch button there.
Does it even need Commie Watch? It does.
Yes, we do.
I think just one last time. It's not working, is it?
Okay.
We didn't test it out.
Commie Watch with Ivan Drago on the Other Three Amigos podcast.
Possibly more disappointing than the actual result itself in the relegation was I was given no hug, Decky, up in Tallaght Stadium. It was a tough one to take, especially after defeat. But of course, you promoted the sexual harassment of young fellas on the pod the week before, letting people know your feelings on the matter.
I didn't. I just said, if fellas, if people felt the need to cork you, that was between them and you.
It's their prerogative.
Nothing else, but their prerogative. That's a nice word, Wayne. It's their prerogative. I had noticed today that I kind of did go looking for tags and there was none there, and I was like, do you know what? Maybe Dan was unavailable because I know you were a very important person doing a very important work for very important radio stations, and you were on the pitch and you were in those environments. So maybe you weren't available to be photographed. Being hugged.
Putting the intern in international broadcaster.
I must say. You were very Howie-esque on the pitch. It just didn't feel right.
It just didn't look right.
You were very kind of, I don't know. It was like Howie does the Howie. Like we call it the Howie. I'm not sure you can pull off the Howie.
I don't think I can either. I don't think I can. I wanted to be in with the away crowd, but luckily I didn't go in there because I don't think Shreenan got back in. So yeah.
What happened to Shreenan?
I don't know. Well, there's still no sign of the MVP award for we'll get into that later on.
He might still be up there if I got hold of him.
All right. Bose, thank Christ, they really took the heat off us on social media, actually. My video of we're bringing that effing cup back here next week, doing the rounds again. Absolutely love to see it. The rumour mill is spinning about the new city white jersey. Crest on the centre. The badge should be in the centre, and it's a red and green trim, and I cannot wait to see it. One thing that came up during the week, over the weekend, lads drinking the night of and the evening after the game. Your general thoughts on this one, Wayne? Going to come to you first.
Jesus, it's come to me first. Do you know, I see both sides. I really do. I was 23, 24 once, and was out every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I just think if it was me, which it was me because I drove home that night, got home for 1, I had a few drinks, watched a bit of TV, got to bed about 3 o'clock in the end. I think they should just wait. Now I know there's an issue of like the end of school, the end of college, or whatever. You kind of go home after. I think they could have done a meet-up somewhere else and just waited a couple of days. I think going out that night straight after getting off the bus and going somewhere, it's a bit much. It's a bit you to the fans. Go on the piss next night. I get it. I can see why they did it. But I also think that, just give it a week. You know what I mean? Just give it a week. Because this isn't the 90s and 2000s again. You can't just go somewhere and no one's going to see you. Everyone's going to see you. Again, they're fully allowed to do it. I just think, just hold. But I'm not offended by it. I just think it's classic Cork City. My favourite saying this year is classic Cork City. And it is. Nothing's changed. They want to piss during the year as well. So what's different, really?
Well, yeah, I didn't give a shit if they come up straight off the bus, go on the tear, or the day after, whatever they want to do. But it was the stuff during the season after loss, being in Secret Garden on Friday or Saturday night. That's what kills us. Not after the season ended, in my opinion.
Do you know,
anyway.
get a few slabs and drink on the bus and go home 3 or 4 hours. Have a few drinks together. Sing and have a laugh if you want. I just think the next night, just give it a rest. You know? The Secret Garden would hold for another week. You know? That's just my view. And look, it's no massive deal, but I just think it is classic Cork City.
Decky?
I think there's a distinction to be made. We know, I was getting WhatsApps from people in the pub in Carrytool on Saturday night saying, so-and-so is here, so-and-so is here, they're dancing to this music, they're doing this. It didn't overly bother me because, in my opinion, that was 4 or 5 lads who I presume were all the guys who were living in the house in Carrytool. Probably their last Saturday night, knowing they're all going their separate ways, and as Wayne said, it's an end of college type thing. You know, lads will go for a drink. It didn't bother me that much, to be honest. Didn't really bother, because I also know that those lads who were in Carrytool aren't the guys who were in the Secret Garden 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
Or who aren't out in Cork 3 or 4 nights a week. So I think there's a distinction that makes, yes, there was an issue with pissheads in the squad this year. I have no problem saying it now. We didn't really get into it during the year because, do you know what? there's stuff you can say that's just going to drive a bigger wedge between fans and players and all those kind of things, and we didn't want to be the ones doing that. Now that the season's over, I think, yeah, you can say there was a number of pissheads in the squad this year. You know, did they get us relegated? They certainly contributed. Does it piss me off that they were on the piss again Saturday night in the Secret Garden? Yeah, it annoys me. But also, on Saturday night, the season is over. There's nothing that happens on Saturday night contributes to us being relegated. There's lots, I think, that happens during the year that contributes to us being relegated. And like you've said, Dan, I'd be more focused on what went on during the year than what went on Saturday night. You know, that's just my view on it.
Bandon.
Other people will have different views. Look, it was what it was. It is what it is. I just hope and pray that none of those players who availed of Cork's nightclubs and drinking establishments during the year will be around to avail of them next year. That would be my one hope, my one wish, because none of us have ever been lucky enough to be a professional athlete. But for me, when you're a professional athlete in season, there isn't many things I ask of you. One of them is that you're not drinking. You're not doing other things that maybe go along with drinking. And if you can't look after your body for 8 or 9 months, then I don't really want you representing the club that I support and love. So, you know, I hope the club, when it's making its decisions about who stays and who goes, bears all those things in mind going forward.
Very well put. Richie spoke to the media and myself after the game. The quote that really stuck out is, "It kills myself, the staff inside there. I would say it kills a lot of the boys inside there, but maybe not all of them." Decky, your first thoughts when you saw this or heard about it?
I think it was, I think it was just, Richie, you're right, and I'm glad that you called it out. And lads, here's the thing, Richie's gotten a lot of stick and he's gotten a lot of, because he was in charge, and I understand it and I can see where it's come from. But Richie's not a fool. Richie knows what was going on in that dressing room. Other players know what was going on in that dressing room. And he's called it out. And he can't come straight out and say it, but there are things he can do and say that will reflect how he feels. And and will allude to certain things. And that's maybe if he doesn't get the job, then, I'll certainly hold an emergency podcast in the off season if Richie says he wants to come on and have a chat about how the season developed and the rest of it. Yeah, absolutely. He'll drop everything and do that,
On that note, I do believe somebody has been offered a contract as manager. And it's not someone involved in Cork City. They were in League of Ireland circles.
What you're saying is it's an outsider. It's not somebody who's at the club.
Yeah, it's an outsider, yeah. Okay. Can't really name the people, but...
okay.
You could kind of link it if you kind of dug a bit.
I seen Ollie Horgan at the match. Vinny Perth is completely angling for the job as well on his stuff.
Ian Morris has spent 3 months angling for the job, directly a lot of the time, I believe. But yeah, it won't be him either. Yeah, look, Wayne has said we can't give a name.
Segue that one.
Yeah, we have to trust our sources, and when they say no, you can't give it out yet, then we have to abide by that. But it's interesting.
Who's we genuinely, me or Decky, I don't know who Wayne is actually on about. Decky, who do you think is the front runner for the job?
I do know who he's on about.
Was it in the group or you spilled?
Have you not? No, myself and Decky have our own little
do you
gatherings every Saturday night. We go for an old sandwich
trips out to Bandon,
bottle of Coca-Cola in the old petrol station down near Breen.
For shag's sake, anyway. Well, in that case, who's the front runner for the city job?
Pat Dolan. No, right. Who I would like. That's what I'm going to say. Who I would like. I'd like Richie Holland to get it. I've said that since day one. Like, I know people are going to go, oh, he was around, but I just think, I think he knows the squad enough to take us to next year, and I think he can't just start clean. I don't know. I'd give Richie a shot for a year.
See, the thing
100%.
is, if he gets us promoted next year and then we're back in the first division,
is it Ian Morris syndrome again? Like, yeah,
is he then capable of keeping us in the first division?
I was thinking of this
off the
earlier.
back of what
Premier
football
division
we played.
Premier division, Dan. Premier division, Dan.
What did I
Premier
say?
division. Keep saying first division. If he takes us up to the first division, is he capable of keeping us in the first division? Get it out of your head. Get it.
Sorry, Wayne. Go ahead.
Like, I was thinking, because I was going over the players today, and I was like, Jimmy Corcoran, right? And I was like, Jesus, would you keep him next year? I would, because he hadn't really been tested. His first thrown in the fire really was like the Premier Division. He hadn't have his first division to kind of get to know the team, the squad, and kind of kick on. So I think next year I'd keep Jimmy Corcoran. Do you know that? And I just give him a year and see. He needs, he could be do the world of good for him.
Same with Dan.
Same way with Richie Holland. I'm trying to say is like he hasn't had a chance to develop his own style, his own squad, his whole team. So I'd give him a shot. I would, 100%.
Yeah, do you not think it'd just be a repeat of Colin Healy?
Well, if he gets up,
we
win
played
the
much
league,
better football under Richie.
If we win the league, right, and then we have more money, we walk it, they could do an Ian Morris on it and just fucking get rid if they wanted to. I'm just saying if it's that cutthroat. But I don't think if we have an issue next year, it's not going to be the manager. I think it's going to be, how do I phrase this? Off the field matters. Because let's face it, this is why we're down, I think, this year, because of off the field matters. I think stuff was just done wrong. I know Decky's going to disagree probably, but I think having someone picking players for an incoming head coach or manager is ridiculous. We're not Espanyol or Barcelona or Sevilla or, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be playing a continental type of management. The manager needs to pick the players. And if we go in next season with whoever's in charge and Liam Buckley's picking the players, we ain't getting promoted.
Decky, what do you agree or disagree with there?
I agree that a lot of the reasoning for our relegation is in the hands of, I don't want to say it's in the hands of Liam Buckley, but look, I mean, right, if you accept the takeover stuff, if you accept that was late and all that stuff that Colin Healy and Dermot Usher said, right, everything from that point on was wait till the window. I used to say it on here, Colin Healy just needs to get himself to the window, because I kept being told, and this is the time where the club were communicating with us, etc. I kept being told, we just need to get to the window. If we're within 5 points of the teams above us when we get to the window, we'll be fine. And then we got to the window and there was absolutely no strategy. There was no plan. There was nothing. All those get to the window, it all turned out to be bullshit, because what we did in the window was an absolute catastrophe. And you can brush it up any way you want, but we brought in 7 outfield players in July, and this was Liam Buckley's remit, right? And it was an absolute catastrophe. Like, we needed a certain type of player. We needed a couple of dogs, basically Dogs of War, the old Joe Royal Everton stuff back in the day. Dogs of war who are just going to dig you out of the situation you find yourself in. We brought in free agents from Ukraine, from Lithuania. Don't get me wrong, nothing against those countries or anything else. Kravchuk's a lovely footballer. But is he really what we needed? Is he really going to get us out of the situation that we found ourselves in? And those players that we brought in, those 7 outfield players, they played less than 50% of the minutes available in total between the 7 of them. You're bringing in these players to keep you in the division, to stop you being relegated. And they play less than 50% of the minutes that's available to them. You know? No goals from any of the 7 of them. 2 assists. Like, what help did we get? Kravchuk is the only one I would consider who played minutes that were required. He played 93% of his available minutes. You know, Warman was down at 67, Dykestiel 55, Drynan 60, Rokas 27, but he had a season-ending injury, so you're just that. And I don't even want to Kabia, 41% of the minutes available. Like, if you're bringing in players to keep you up, they have to be sufficient quality, and you have to believe they are, and they have to come in and play a large majority of the minutes. And they didn't, because Ben Warman had no pre-season. He's, like, of the 7 of them, Warman is the only one, I think, that had any kind of positive impact. And that was because he had the 2 assists. Nobody else had an assist. Nobody else had a goal. Nobody else made any kind of contribution. Like, Conor Drynan was a guy who wasn't getting minutes at Cove Ramblers. No disrespect to Conor. When we brought him in, all of a sudden he's first choice for us. Originally at left wing back, because he's better going forward. Then we changed back to a back 4, and he's the first choice left back. And while all this is going on, we're bringing in these guys. We dumped Dan Krasic, right? Because he didn't suit the system, and he didn't this and he didn't that. And then 3 days after we dumped him, we changed the fucking system to exactly what would have suited him. Like, so where was the strategy? Where was the plan? It was all bullshit. It was all just fucking hammered together and names thrown into a bag. Rokas was signed off a DVD that was sent in by his agent, and we got him over. And I know some of the staff there didn't want to sign him when they saw him, but Liam Buckley wanted to sign him, and he signed him. So, look, like, I mean, who's at fault? There's loads of people at fault. But the fact of the matter for me comes, the club put everything on the summer window and absolutely failed to deliver miserably in that window. And that's for me is the worrying thing, because the people who failed to develop or failed to deliver in that window are now responsible for putting together a squad to win the First Division next year. And let me say this straight out here and now. Nothing else is remotely acceptable but winning the First Division next year. And I would even go so far as to say, if you don't win it by 15 points, you've probably failed. Because there isn't a serious footballing outfield in that First Division next year. Not a serious footballing outfit. So, like, let's not kid ourselves that, if we can get into the last 2 games, 3 points clear. Bollocks. Look at the division. There's no Galway there. There's no Waterford there. There's nobody of substance there. For example, we're aware that Mikey Rowe is probably off to Wexford, right? And I'm just using him because it just popped into my head, right? We are now a club who can pick up the phone to any player or their agent and go, look, we heard you're going to Bray. We heard you're going to Longford. We heard you're going to Wexford. Give us 5 days there. We just need to sort some stuff out and we'll be back to you with an offer. That player is waiting 5 days to hear from Cork City, without doubt. So we have the ability to go in there and put together the squad that we want to put together. But we need to execute, and we did not execute in any way, shape or form in the summer window. And that's when we were relegated. We weren't relegated last Friday night. We were relegated in the summer window when the club, the sporting director, the management team, whoever it was, failed to deliver. And nothing will ever change my mind on that. And I just wish I was stronger on it on the time and the rest of it. And look, I mean, like, I don't want to have, like, Jace Kabia, like, was brought in the summer, right? You could say he was Dan Krasic's replacement. Has there ever been a worse footballer or a worse attitude wear the Cork City jersey? For me, no. And I don't care. I'll say it out all day, every day. Every time he put on the jersey, he disgraced himself. Disgraced. And he was at it again last Friday night. I called it out 2 weeks ago. The fake hard man bullshit. I'll get in a scrap and I'll show how much I love. Spent more time in the secret garden than he ever did in Bishopstown. But we allowed it to happen. We allowed it to happen as a club. As a club, we knew what was going on. And we allowed it to happen. And this is the result of allowing it to happen. Like, this is the result of not doing your research.
Like, the Bandon situation proves, like, we knew what happened there. The club knew. We know the club knew. And do you remember what happened 48 hours after? Players started. You know what I mean? And it's just...
Yeah, it's...
One, there's a lack of integrity there. Second, what are you doing? Like, And third, it continued. It continued all season. And like, most fans knew about this, but everyone kind of just had lost interest in all this. And like, it's just frustrating that we knew, we said it back in the summer, we're going to go down unless we're careful. And here we are. We're down. And did anything change from when Healy left to now? 4 or 5 games, I think. Did, other than that. It's embarrassing. It's worse than Fenn. It's worse than the Fenn era, I think. I think Fenn had no money. Do you know? He brought in what he could. A lot of it was a shot in the dark, but at least he brought in players that he kind of knew-ish. And it failed. And I think this club has been rotten for years. And you said it, we've all said it. It's been rotten for a few years. And it needs to be... People need to check themselves. I'm telling you now, to check themselves. Get a grip of reality. And everyone needs to start pulling in the right direction. And issues at the club are not our fault. If we bring them up, it's not our fault. We got to blame for so much stuff last year. Oh, they're at it again. Don't make mistakes like that. Don't do stupid things and it won't be brought up. I hope next year we learn our lesson. Otherwise, we're screwed.
Just there on what Scotty says about, like, and I hate going back to Jace Cavito because it seems like I'm really coming after him, like, but he was offered a contract and we said it at the time. He went back to Scotland and England for 2.5 weeks trying to find a club there. Couldn't find one and came back and we gave him back his contract. No football club in the world does that. None. The second he walked out of Bishopstown without signing the deal that he was offered, that's it. The deal should be pulled. You want to go back and try your luck in Scotland and England again? Off you go. But there's no safety net here. And he walked back in and he signed the deal and didn't give a toss because he was just like, this place is a joke. I can do what I want, And as Scotty says, players in and out of Secret Garden and whatever. I don't even know the pubs of Cork anymore. I'm too old for it. I haven't a clue what goes on in Cork City. But non-stop reports of this, reports of that. 2 goalkeepers from England apparently who thought they were on a 3-month holiday or a 4-month holiday. Ollie Byrne, we announced today, is leaving. I see 90% of people going, "Oh, I wanted to keep him." It was like,
yeah, what is up with that?
Another fellow who spent more time in the Secret Garden than he did in Bishopstown,
But see, can I just clarify one thing, right? This used to happen in the 90s and 2000s, and it used to happen in the mid-2000s. The difference was we were winning. You win a game on a Friday, the players would be out in Havanas at the time, in the VIP room, they used to call it. Fine, you're winning, not a problem. You wouldn't be seeing Dan Murray, John O'Flynn, or any of them in there if we'd lost 3-0 or 4-0 to Bowes or Pats. That was the difference.
And that's it. That absolutely is the difference. As you're right, when you're winning, you can do what you want. But when you're not winning, you can't. And that's just the fact of the matter. And like, we don't talk to players. We've always said that. But you hear things from relations and thing, and it kept coming out like, oh, 2 keepers aren't popular. They think they're on a holiday. Like, there's elements within that Cork City dressing room who are absolutely devastated at what has happened. Absolutely devastated. There's people on the staff, Mick Ring, Aina Buckley, Aaron Howie, I don't want to name, like, all the staff members, absolutely crestfallen, have given their lives to this football club, crestfallen. But you ask anybody what's the issue here and what got us ready and everybody will say it was the dressing room. The dressing room was poisoned. And that's where it all went wrong. And my thing is, like, if the people bringing in the players made a phone call, did some research, they would have known. Because the second Jace Kabir was linked with us, I started getting messages from people at Shells. People who were at Shells when Jace Kabir were there, going, "What are you doing? This guy's attitude is absolutely terrible." Liam Buckley knows people. He could have rang somebody at Shells and said, "Look, he was there under you, what you make of him?" And he would have been told, I presume. So was he told and we still signed these players? I don't know. But look, I mean, it is what it is. We are where we are. We got to move forward. And like, we said at the start we didn't know where this was going to go. I didn't think it was going to go this way, but you know, here we are.
It's being honest. We're not
25 minutes in, and the whole dressing room's after getting f***ed under the bus. Well, not the whole dressing room. I want to say it again. There's elements in that dressing room who were fully committed to the cause all year. Somebody said to me on Friday night, I don't know how accurate it is, that the guys who cared the most probably just weren't good enough, and the guys who were good enough just didn't care at all. I don't know how close to summing the thing up that is, but I get a feeling it's not too far off the mark either.
We've already had a bit of an exodus. We had Hatchet Sunday on Tota. Kabia, Byrne, Kostovic and Hohenhin are gone. Is there anyone else we're missing there, Wayne?
Bulger.
Oh.
Bulger.
Well, what do we make of that? Or, well, not just Bulger.
I'm sad to see
names.
Kostovic leave, to be honest. I think Kostovic has all the hallmarks of being a really good League of Ireland player. I think he'll make it as a career still. I think his just versatility was amazing. And if we had nailed him to one position in midfield, I think he could have been very, very, very good. The rest, I think you can replace, no problem.
Yeah, met Kostovic actually Friday night. Lovely fella. Sad to see him go. In my opinion, he was our best player this season. Decky, anyone there that you'll miss? Obviously, Bulger might be the main shout there, and Kostovic.
But look, I'm a big fan of Kevin Kostovic. I'm a big fan of Aaron Bulger. I think some of the stuff tweeted at Aaron Bulger after we announced he was going was just, what are you doing, lads? Like, you know,
it's too on that.
It's not
too much.
You have to understand, though, lads. Like, lads, this is football, and this happens everywhere in the world. The player signs a pre-contract. You have to understand. If Keaton did it, he'd probably get the same. If you know what I mean, you have to understand. Pre-contracts are an area where you just, especially with rivals, it's shells. I know he's a dub. It's shells. He's from Wicklow, actually. So I think a lot of that is not personal against him. It's because he's basically gone to one of our biggest rivals pre-contract, and I can see both sides.
No, I understand that, and I understand that fully. But this is League of Ireland, where guys are on 1-year contracts. They have to look after their future. They have to look after themselves. And I didn't see any evidence from Josh Hohenhin or from Aaron Bulger in any of the games they played having, I don't know when they signed their deals or when they agreed their deals, but I didn't see any evidence that either of those two guys weren't putting in the same level of effort that they had been putting in previously, you know? Yeah. And look, I mean, yeah, there's lots of players will leave over the next 2 weeks. There'll be lots of announcements. Whether Totap will have them first or not, who knows? I'm sure the club will beat us to a few at least. But look, I mean, we could have put the Bulger one out a few weeks back. I mean, we knew it 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks, and we didn't because we knew the situation we were in. We don't want to cause ruptions, you know. The Josh Hohenhin one could have probably
maybe we
out.
Actually should have caused ruptions.
Maybe we should have. Yeah, maybe we should have. Who knows? Like, you know, but that's what we decided that we weren't going to do. You know, I know. Some of the journalists in the country had the Josh Hohenhin one before us because they came to me after going, bollocks, I had that 2 weeks ago and decided not to put it out because we didn't want to be that paper who upset his fan base against him in the last 2 weeks, especially in the situation that Cork City found themselves in. And then he found out and he beat us to the punch. And like, they were only laughing about it going, it's our fault. We had it. We could have put it out. We didn't, you know. So, you know, but it was known. I think a lot of Carrigaline knew that during the week. Good luck to the lads. They are Premier, in my opinion, Josh Hohenhin and Aaron Bulger are both Premier Division players. I can understand why teams have moved for them. No, I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you, that Josh has got to move to Shamrock Rovers, but more power to him. I hope he takes advantage of it. And also to Lee Stacey below in Cove. Best of luck to him at Shamrock Rovers next year as well. That was Scotty. You had that before it broke, and we didn't put it. We were kind of mucking around, and we didn't put it out. It was like, At least Stacey's
didn't really believe it, really.
Shamrock Rovers, you know.
I didn't believe it, but we didn't. It's just I didn't think it was logical. But obviously, Bradley's wage budget's probably a bit lower than it was, maybe.
Yeah, very possibly. Very possibly. So look, there will be a mass exodus, I think. And it's more about for us as a club who we replace them with.
Has Raymond
as much as
any sources on
no,
that?
not yet. Nothing coming in, I think.
Raymond is now in Milan
well-
trying to figure out the managerial situation. So you give him a call after.
Raymond has committed to returning to Toe Tap Towers in the coming week to take up residency over the winter. So we'll see how that goes.
We finally got rid of Damien, so hopefully he'll take that place.
Yeah, he did drop one name in, Scotty, didn't he? Again, we couldn't say, but he did drop in one name. Or we're aware that there has been contact made with one player. So yeah, look, Raymond will do his work. The one thing I will say is I do believe that the club have already been proactive in identifying players who are free agents and who would be top first division players next year. So hopefully...
we're obviously not learning our lesson.
This
is the point I'm making.
Why'd you say that?
Because we're trying to sign players with no manager in place. This is exactly why we're in this mess.
But when
Unless
you have can I say, just like we have a sporting director and we have, as you have said, maybe offered a position. So maybe there is some contact and some agreement already as the targets and things like that,
I think that concludes our first half, Toe Tapper. Join us in the second half, where we'll have the Waterford review. We haven't even got to the game review yet. We'll have Jacking Off, and of course, we'll have the mailbox. See you in part 2.
This podcast is sponsored by NordVPN, so listen up to the ad and hear what it's all about and get our offer for you. So, what is a VPN? Here's the nerd porn. A VPN connection establishes a secure connection between you and the internet. Via the VPN, all your data traffic is routed through an encrypted virtual tunnel. This disguises your IP address when you use the internet, making its location invisible to everyone. Now the geeks have just blown their load. Here's for the normal person. So basically you can browse the net safely. Is that all I hear you ask? Absolutely not. If you think the government is watching you, then fear no more tinfoil hat man. They can't. With NordVPN, what else? Every wanted to watch BBC Player, or something that's not available in your location. With NordVPN, you can watch all the stuff that you want in any location. Netflix across the world is available, so you can access the latest episode of that Mexican soap opera that you've always wanted save money. Other countries can get stuff way cheaper, so jussy pop yourself in a different location and watch the bank balance, thank you. And of course, enjoy you time, you dirty man. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/totap to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee.
Okay, well, welcome back to part 2, Toe Tapper. It's finally time for the Waterford review. Waterford 2, City 1.
Dan, just before we talk about a lot of bollocks, right?
Yeah.
The FA Cup was yesterday, and the City team from 98, 25 years ago, mad like,
Yeah.
were on the pitch, and I noticed they're all like still in their prime, like, there's no fellas with big massive bellies that are hanging out.
They're not in Secret Garden.
Exactly. So I just wanted to bring up, say, fair play. What a team. Some great players in that era. Unbelievable.
Did the club acknowledge him?
No. Club had the last tweet the club put out was Friday night. The last tweet was like Cork City or Relegated or whatever. As club has done nothing on social media since. I understand why, because no matter what they do and put out, it's going to be quote tweeted and abused and whatnot. But that team on Sunday that were honoured at the FAI Cup final, I mean, that team has a special place in a lot of City fans' hearts, and I do think the club missed. I do think the club should have acknowledged and honoured that team by putting something out on their social media channels.
Did they even retweet it?
They were being honoured. No, they've done no. They never.
You don't need to just retweet it. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
never acknowledged it. Which to me is, I mean, that team is like, that's John Caulfield, it's Derek Collin, it's Colin T. O'Brien, it's Ollie Cahill, Ollie's pockets coaching a ling. It's that team. It's a special team. It is a big place in City fans' hearts. And yeah, I think the club have been unfair to them. I understand the situation, but I think the correct thing to do would have been to acknowledge their acknowledgement, to be honest.
It actually shows how disengaged the club are with the fans at the minute. And that proves it. That absolutely proves it. That is how, again, I say it, classic Cork City, down to a T.
That sense of community just is non-existent. Anyway, we're finally time to talk about the Watford game. Cracking game from a neutral point of view, I'm sure. But ultimately, City go down. A terrible game from a City point of view, really. Especially that first 20-25 minutes before O'Brien Whitmarsh came on. And who else came on again, was it? Jeez, I'm trying to think.
John O'Donovan came on at left back.
That was it.
Yeah.
Solidified us to some degree. Cian Coleman gets the header at the back post. Sorry, I was started second half. Keaton gets injured, of course, around the 35-minute mark. And you just had a real sense that was that for City. But Cian Coleman pops up, gets one at the back post, and then you're thinking, despite everything, despite that's going against the run of play, that maybe we're getting out here with the win. Connor Parsons scores with an absolute peach of a strike to equalise it. And then Cian Coleman gives away a soft penalty. Look, I saw it there live. I don't think it was one, but I'm going to say that anyway. And then, of course, Coughlin scores it handy. And that is that. Your thoughts on the game, Wayne? I'll go to you first.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. It was hard to take. I felt very sorry for Conor Drynan, to be honest. The mentality was all wrong. We were scared of the ball, and I think we kept things like passing it back when we didn't have an option to go forward. We should be pushing forward. Yeah, if we lose the ball, regroup. But the ball would go to Bolger or would go to Kravchuk when he was on, and then it would go back to Hakkinen, and it was just like, it was frustrating, and no one took leadership, and no one grabbed it by the balls, and no one kind of, like, you could see players giving it to the crowd going, come on. I was like, no, do it your own fucking players. Like, we're fine here. We're singing. We've just driven 3 hours up to sea. You shouldn't be doing it to us. You should be doing it to each other. And that was my problem.
Yeah. City fans were twice as loud as those Watford fans.
Do you know what I mean? And I was like, you don't need to fucking encourage us. We don't need us to encourage you. You should be encouraging your own players. And I final whistle went, I walked out, and that was it. I was done. I didn't even stay for the players to come over because it didn't deserve my respect. I didn't deserve it. Like, after all this, like 32 years supporting this football club, and they're the absolute worst team I've seen. And I've seen a lot of bad teams, bad players. Like, you look at the team when we left Bishopstown to come back Turner's Cross, it was horrendous. We'd Mel Cableton in goal during '94. It was a horrendous team. Neil Fenn's team. Some bad players, but no one ever didn't give a shit. And I said back in June, they're down tools, and people were taking the piss out of me. They were ripping me on the forums. I'm sorry, they did. These players didn't give a shit. Most of them. You get the ones who did, like Bargray, Murphy. I'm going to name them. I think Coleman really cares. He's just not
he really
good
cares.
enough. I don't think it's a fakeness. Keating cares. I think young Brian Whitmarsh cares. I think Hakkinen cares. The rest can fuck off, to be honest with you. Do you know? I'll probably leave 1 or 2 out. But I went home and
Warman tried his heart out.
Warman, you know what? And it proves the point that he came in too late, because I think he's been quite good the last few weeks. No, not amazing, but I think he was very bad in the first 15 minutes against Waterford. I thought he played very, very well. But I was absolutely disgusted leaving. I was heartbroken. I just drove home and like, it's even hard now. I can't even talk about it. I can't even think of my emotions in a day. But I was very aggressive during the game too. I apologize to anyone around me. I was very angry, but I left then, and that was it. That's it, done.
I think there was a lot in the same boat there. Anyway, Decky, your overall thoughts on the game?
Look, you come into a game like that, and I said last week that we were the better side and Waterford would be slow in possession, and I think everything we said last week was accurate. Like, And we turn up, and the opening 20 minutes is the worst 20 minutes of the season. And it is, and it's just horrific. And you're going like, we're all sat in our seats going, oh my God, what is happening here? And you could feel the nervous energy in the crowd, you know, and as that 20 minutes got in, as it got into the 10th minute, you could just feel it building and feel it building. And then we got to the 20-minute mark, and John O'Donovan came on, and things settled down, and I started getting really, really confident. I was like, Waterford had this start, and they've done nothing with it. And it's going like, you were right, they don't have the quality to punish us. And they didn't. I mean, Colin cut inside on his left foot at one stage, and you're just waiting for the net to ripple, and he hits the corner flag. You know? And you're going like, wow, this is thing. And we somehow get to half time at 0-0. And we've lost Kravchuk. We had lost Connor Drynan. And then we lost Keats at half time. And like, you know, all of a sudden Richie's hands are tied a little bit because he's only has 3 substitution windows, and he's had to use 2 of them in the first 30 minutes to take off Kravchuk and to take off Connor Drynan. Rory
Keaton was gone for
has to
5
get
to
the
10
half
minutes.
time. He has to get the half time because you get a free substitution. It's not one of your 3 allotted substitution times. You can have one at half time. So Keating has to get the half time because if they take him off before half time, then they have no substitution window left for the whole of the second half. So, there's lots went against us. Lots has gone against us all season, to be fair. But we get the half time at 0-0, and I'm confident. And Eileen is sitting a few seats behind me, and I go back to her and I say, if we score 1 here, we won't lose this game. Because Waterford, they won't score. Now, obviously, they banged one in from 30 yards, but another summary of our season where we get no pressure on the ball. You know, we just stand back and allow Parsons to shoot. Why there isn't 2 bodies flying in there trying to block it, I have no idea. We have players on the edge of the area, just none of them take a step forward. And it was just madness, but Keane puts us ahead. And I'm sorry, I was saying to Eileen, if we score 2, we win the game. There's absolutely no problem. And if we score 1, we won't lose the game. Because there's no way Waterford are scoring twice. I didn't fancy Waterford to score at all. As I said, they banged one in from 30 yards, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. All year, I never thought we were getting relegated until Connor Parsons scored. And the second that ball hit the back of the net, I had absolutely no confidence that we weren't going to be relegated. It just switched like that because I was just looking on the field. Jonas Hakkinen was the only one who, when that ball went in, reacted. And Wayne's thought about trying to G fellas up and trying to keep it positive and trying to put some energy into the field and into the performance. Jonas was the only one who reacted in that way. Everybody else, their heads dropped. Gone. And I just said, we're gone here. The only way we're winning this game is if we can get it to penalties and Waterford put forward and wide. Because there was just like from the word go, we were completely bereft of confidence, and obviously that comes in the back of a poor season. But I thought we'd take confidence from the cup game. I thought we'd take confidence from knowing that we were a better side than them. And I mean, we got so many comments and so much abuse, and as we said, we would take it on social media. But the one comment I saw that stuck out to me was, I don't know, was it a Waterford fan, a Shamrock Rovers fan, a Cork City fan? I don't know. And he said, I listened to the podcast last week and I couldn't believe the 3 of you were super, confident of beating a very good Waterford team. It's not a very good Waterford team. It's not, and it wasn't. And I will die on that hill.
25 points behind Galway, how can you be a very good team?
It's not a very good team. They were everything we thought they were going to be. And we
couldn't say we're going to lose 2-0. We had, imagine the 3 of us going, yeah, we're going to lose 2-0 in the fucking playoff. You couldn't say that, You have to pretend you never believed it.
I never believed it. As I said, I never believed it. I was like, Waterford were everything I thought they were going to be. I guarantee you they were everything that Richie Holland and John O'Flynn and Dan Murray and the rest of the coaching staff thought they were going to be. And it's just how did we go out and play the way we played? How? if we had any small bit of and look, maybe if Kostovic is fit and whatever, like, but they weren't fit, and I still believe we had a team out there capable of winning the game, more than capable of winning the game. But I don't think the team believed that they were more than capable of winning the game, because that first 20 minutes came from what I just see as a complete bereft of confidence. And I don't know, but look.
What do you think, Dan?
It's hard to look at the game and think Waterford didn't deserve to win it overall,
Of the whole game.
Yeah, well, your thoughts, like, just in general.
Waterford completely they deserved it. They deserved it. Once Keaton was off, I thought that was kind of going to be it. Waterford had a better first half than us, and they'll all going into half time. With Keaton gone, we are not to have pop off, and they're lovely lads, I'm sure. Keane Murphy and Tunde, when they're coming on, you're like, oh, shite.
Keane played very well, I thought, Keane Murphy. I thought he played very well.
When they're coming on, it's never a good sign. How often have they scored during the season? Like, you're seeing Walker come on, you're seeing all these lads who are brought on when you're in trouble all season, and why would you be confident?
We've no choice. We've no choice, really. Like,
and I know there's no squad there. There was no quality squad there at all.
But what do you do next season, lads? Do you try and get a core Cork Munster team, or do you try and just get the best players in from all over the country, or do you risk trying to get some gem from abroad? Like, what way would you go for it? Like,
we got our gem in Kostovic anyway from abroad. I think Kresic would have been good. Vimbo was supposed to be good, but we never got to see him properly either. So maybe there are certain markets that would, certain waters we could go fishing in, but I wouldn't be too confident.
I don't think the League of Ireland First Division is really a place for foreign signings. Obviously you'll probably always find one or two, but like, we know what this league is. It's rough. It's ready. It's as I said, the likes of Kravchuk, lovely footballer, doesn't want to know. I was saying doesn't want to know about the defensive side, doesn't want to know about the battle. Left the game after 28 minutes the other night or whatever it was. Look, he sat down with his hamstring. His hamstring was gone. He had to leave the game. But I don't think a Kravchuk does well in the League of Ireland First Division, just to pick one, So, no, like, not foreign guys for me. For me, it's
do you build for the future, or do you just get over the season and get us up?
Bit of both, if you can.
I think you have to mix the both.
Yeah, like Josh Fitzpatrick should get minutes next year. Carl O'Sullivan, even though he's only 17, if he's as good as people think he is, should probably be getting a certain, minutes. I'd be holding on to the likes of Oren Crowe and those guys. Crowe didn't really get any minutes after coming back in, but I thought he was quite decent against Bows, and I could see him having a positive impact in the First Division. But I think you need to go out and find seasoned First Division players. And then I think you need to find a few of the lads who are 33, 34, have done their time in the Premier Division, and who are willing to take a step down into the First Division to win it, but who still have that Premier Division quality. And I'm trying to come, like,
Gary Deegan.
Is there anybody? maybe a guy like a Keith Ward or something.
Yeah.
Struggled with a little bit with injuries. I heard him on the LOI Central pod. He's been let go by Dundalk. Is he willing to go play First Division football for a year with the idea of winning? Because, like, he's a snide and he's tough, but he still has a bit of quality as well. So there's guys like him out there, I think, but you have to make a case to them, and you'd have to bring them down, and you have to accommodate them, and you have to pay them, and you have to do all those things. So, but I think there are players out there who you can bring in to allow you to win the division next year, because that's the only thing that's acceptable.
Will I go into Penny for your thoughts? Oh, actually, there was no MVP trophy for Rory.
Why was that, Dan?
I think Shreenan was supposed to get that, and it just never turned up really. But anyway,
we get him something. We get him something, right?
I did speak to Rory after the Bows game, hoping to get him on off the ball at some point. He said just to get onto him at the end of November. So hopefully I'll get to meet him, and hopefully I will have a toe tap MVP trophy to hand him on that occasion.
By all accounts, he's a lovely man.
He seems it. He seems it.
Yeah.
Into the penny here anyway. Sean O'Mahony comes in and says, can we even complain? Totally and utterly deserved. Besides UCD, we must be one of the worst Premier Division teams in the last few years. So unbelievably bad, it's not even a surprise. All started with re-signing fellas like Walker and Coffey who haven't got it. Reap what you sow. Kyle Williams, Case Swilly. Absolute disgrace. Perfect end to the perfectly shit season. Can't wait for the carry away streams. Trina Golden, burn it down, start again. Duncan Noonan, heartbreaking, the only word for it. Haven't felt more devastated in a hole. No effort, no ideas, just utter shit. Serious rebuild needed next year. Not just some half-arsed thrown together thing that'll scrape us the league and then get us hammered in the Premier. Laro Tuma, why are the club using that useless C word for the graphic? Are they trying to piss fans off? Nevin De Poor, lowest of the low. We're turning into Yo-Yo Club. We're turning into Waterford. Yeah, lads, just much the same of that.
It's very depressing, isn't it? This whole part.
And again, those comments are like, no one's really particularly angry. It's just pure disappointment, and it's like,
and that's the worst thing.
Been coming for a while.
The worst thing when you stop caring is when you know you're at rock bottom, and I think we are at rock bottom now. Are we?
I think that was Dundalk, and it's just somehow got even worse.
Well, relegation is worse than losing to Dundalk 4-0. Like,
yeah, but that was it. Really, that was the night you're kind of like, oh shit. Even though I probably did still think we'd have enough for Watford to Cove.
Yeah, but just remember, Dan, after that podcast for the Dundalk game, we were banned from talking to the women's players or having any interactions with anybody at the club and the rest of it. That's what happened. That's what happened the week of the Dundalk game. That's what the club thought the issue was the week of the Dundalk game. They didn't see the issue to them wasn't that we went to Dundalk and we were beaten 5-0 by a poor Dundalk side. The issue was that we had said some bad things about the players and about the performance, and we needed to be taken to task again. And this is a core issue.
In hindsight, we look back. Was my statement wrong, Declan?
No.
I was just thinking that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
No, I'm not saying I'm a Nostradamus or I'm not some sort of oracle, but it's truth hurts there, lads.
And it's still being thrown around to justify stuff. And here's the thing. And like, I don't want to get into this shit again, like, but the whole Colin Healy situation, that had absolutely nothing to do with Colin Healy. Nothing to do with us tweeting about
It's
Colin
a grudge. Healy. It's as simple as. It's an agenda grudge.
Club saw an opportunity. Used that as an opportunity to exact something they had wanted to do for at least 4 months prior to that. And I'd love to say some stuff, but I'm not going to, because there's no point in opening old wounds. Yeah, look, it's I don't even know why we've gone down off in this tangent, but look,
because maybe we are angry. Maybe we're just not showing we're angry yet. You know, maybe we're just in depression, and maybe the anger's coming out now. Maybe it is.
That's what I was going to say. Coming home Friday night, I was very kind of melancholy. I was like, do you know what? No, we deserve it. And that's actually the point I was going to make. All those penny for your thoughts, all those comments. There isn't one comment that says, oh, we've been really unlucky all year. We didn't deserve to go down. Things worked against us, etc., etc. Every City supporter I have spoken to since Friday night have all said the same thing. We've got what we deserved. The result of this season is exactly as we deserved. We won 8 games out of 37 in the league. Well, 37 if you include the playoff game. You don't deserve anything else other than relegation, you know? So, like, it is what it is. I argued with people on Friday night in Turner's Cross, in Tala. Everybody was emotional. I don't clap. I didn't clap them. I refused to clap them. But I also didn't boo them, and I didn't give it, you know, you're not fit to wear the shirt and the rest of it. But I got upset by people I knew in front of me clapping them. And I shouted at them, and I said it to them, and we ended up arguing and all those kind of things. And it was driving home afterwards. I was like, you know what? I actually don't have any right to tell somebody whether they should clap or not, or whether they should, you know, it's not my right to tell somebody else how they react at the end of the game. And, two people I had words with, I met at the women's game on Saturday, and I apologised to them, and everybody's, still buddies and everything else. But it was emotional, and there was stuff going on, and I hope everybody kind of has had a chance since to take a deep breath and just go it was what it was.
How bad was the abuse? I wasn't in there. How bad did it actually get?
I think some of it was over the top. I've no problem saying that. I think, look, I understand you're not fit to wear the shirt. I understand that stuff, right? No issue whatsoever. As I said, I didn't sing it. I also didn't applaud. I stood there with my hands in my pockets with an absolute look of disgust on my face, right? But people were emotional. But there was a guy, and I don't know who it was. There was a guy running around with a balaclava, on him, trying to, I'm going to jump the fence and I'm going to get stuck in the guards, and threatening players, and, roaring and shouting and sticking his fingers up at players and telling me to get him outside and the rest of it. If you want, what's the balaclava about? Seriously, are you going to Jerry Adams a couple of players on the way home or something? What are you doing? What are you hoping to accomplish? And if you want to give that abuse, and you want the players to take that abuse, surely be man or woman enough, because I don't know who was under the balaclava, and I don't want to know. But surely, be man or woman enough to show your face and say, here I am, and this is what I want to say to you, and I want you to listen to the abuse I'm giving me. So when you're hiding under a balaclava, what's your abuse is worth? Nothing, because when somebody can't see who's abusing them, then the abuse isn't, it just has no worth. And there was young fellas on that pitch. Joe Brian Whitmarsh was in bits. Cahill O'Sullivan was 16. Now, you could argue that they should have maybe been taken into the dressing room. Joss Fitzpatrick, 17. I don't know, Dan, is the honest answer. I don't know that it go too far, but I think there was...
I was next to them on the pitch. You actually couldn't really hear any of the individual insults. It was just that you're not fit to wear the shirt, and en masse chants. You couldn't actually... No, they weren't being directed at me, so I'd be less likely to hear them anyway. If they were, I probably would have. But yeah, you couldn't really hear the individual ones. You could see people going apeshit, all right, but you couldn't hear exactly what was being said by certain individuals.
I'm disgusted now that you couldn't hear my "Are you small or far away" chant directed at you. So, but look, I genuinely don't. I think some of it went a little too far. I don't mind saying that, but as I said, I don't understand the shaping up the guards and trying to jump like that stuff. I'll never understand it. I never have understand it. Never will understand it. And the balaclava thing just makes me laugh every time I think about it. Running around like a lunatic in a balaclava.
There's some young fella going around in a balaclava now as well.
Yeah, I was a young fella in a balaclava. I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't.
Move on.
We'll have they're after us. The Rebel Army. All right, I think it's good news. we're going jacking off.
Are we?
Oh,
of course, yeah. You're talking about going to Cork, aren't you?
Yeah, play the fucking song.
Oh, sorry. You see, here's the thing. Yeah,
welcome to the Declan fucking McCormack show. Here is it. This is your life.
Jacking off
with Decky. His favorite player is Jack Dorsey. What else can I do? I want to jack off with you.
Well, I hope your room housemates are listening.
Will the whole of Turner's Cross be jacking off next season? I, for one, think they will be. Which would be the greatest thing to ever happen this podcast.
Absolutely.
That 2024 award is nailed on.
But would it, or does it work better when you're jacking off in Cove?
I know. Bring it home. It's like the mistress in a different club and comes to see it in, and it's yours forever. Do you know what I mean?
It's all grand having a wank in a hotel sometimes. It's nothing like the comfort of your own home.
Oh my
it's not
word.
true.
Look, who knows? Like, the thing is, you've got to, like, he's the best player in the division. So, nowhere in the division, the biggest club in the division, you'd imagine, should be reaching out to the best player in the division. He's already proven that he's willing to come to Cork. Obviously, he was in Cove, but like, it makes logical sense. Now, the thing that doesn't make logical sense is that he's probably not willing to commit to full-time football. And we would imagine, or we hope, that we'll be a full-time team next year. But you can make that work, I think. And like, I'd be stunned. I'd be absolute. I'm not saying that he will end up here, but I'd be stunned. It would actually be negligent of Cork City Football Club if they weren't talking to Jack Doherty already, in my opinion.
Okay, that sounds promising. Anyone else from Cove that you would be interested in? I genuinely don't know names. Weru?
Treaty. No?
No, I wouldn't. Anyone else in Cove? Yeah, I mean, see, here's the thing. It depends on who we keep and what positions of need we end up with.
You see, no, you're wrong there. No, if we keep every single player, right? Say we kept every single player, we still need 11 new players. We do. 10, Keating. 10 players. We need 10 new players, minimum.
But it's not happening. And a lot of these guys, Scotty, were very good first division players the year that we won, the year before when we won it. So I think
no, you don't get a second chance. You don't get a second chance. I
think we may end up keeping a lot more players than.
But the problem is, say we keep them, right, and we win the league, then you got to change it over again, and you're not going to change it over again because then we're back to the same vicious circle.
No, but you have to. But like, and this is the thing, like, when we're planning for this year, we can't just plan for 2024. There has to be a plan that says 2024, 2025, 2026. This is what's happening over the next 3 years. We get promoted at the end of 2024. We're cleaning house. Everybody knows that. And if we're 10 points clear or 12 points clear or 15 points clear in the mid-season break, then you start clearing house there. You can start thinking about clearing house. If we're 10 points behind, then you go and you implement your
clear house again.
Plan B for what? You're clearing house no matter what. But you know what I mean? But there has to be a long-term plan in place, and there has to be contingency plans. It feels like in the summer window this year, even though all the talk had been of just get to the window, there was no plan in place, and there was no contingency plans in place. And then the rest of the season from that summer window through. Like, I mean, I think I'm correct in saying we were 3 points behind Drogheda when the window opened. I think I'm correct in saying that. How far behind them did we end up? So, like, the window didn't improve us. And here's the one we all forget. Losing Matt Healy in that window. That really, really hurt us. Really hurt us.
Forget about him, actually, wouldn't you?
I actually did forgot.
I don't know. Yeah. Could we have kept him? I don't know. I think his agents had a lot to do with moving him to Belgium. But, I think that really hurt because we did not replace him with better players or equal.
But whose fault
players.
is that? Is that his fault or is it our fault?
Oh, it's our fault. It's absolutely our fault.
There we go again. Again, it's our fault. You see what I mean? It's all connecting together, being not taking it seriously enough.
Absolutely our fault. The whole season is our fault. Nobody else's. It's not the referees. It's not other teams. It's not Shamrock Rovers for bitching and moaning about no guards of honour. It's not whoever else upset us during the year. Like, we played Bowes and Dalymount twice. We lost 9-0 on aggregate. They finished 6th.
Yeah.
Like, that's nobody else's fault on your own. You can dress it up any way you like. You reap what you sow. I said it all year. You are what the league table tells you are. And we're relegated.
We'll drive it on. We'll have a look. I have the City squad here in front of me.
Oh, Jesus.
What way do you want to do this? It's the player review. Are we doing it out of 10?
Out of 10, and do you keep him or not? Simple as.
Tiernan Brooks. Red.
6
Yeah.
and no.
Yeah, I go 6 and no.
Full house, 6 and no.
Gordon Walker.
No.
4 and no.
I think 5 and yes.
Keane Coleman.
6 and yes.
Yeah, 6 and yes.
I go 7. I go 7, yes. Ali Gilchrist.
3 and no. We haven't seen him. He's
5.
been injured.
Yeah.
Go 5 and no.
I was going to 4 and no. Tunde.
I'll go 5 and no.
He's lovely, man. I'm going to be honest, 3 and no.
Can I really contradict myself here on this one? Can I say 3 and I'd seriously consider it? Because
Yeah, that's the same with
It's your
Walker.
opinion.
Yeah,
guys,
it's the exact same reason I said yes for Walker.
he could get a bag load of goals in the first division. Like
Just his
Could.
speed alone.
he's done it for Finn. Yeah, he's done it for Finn Harps before. Is there a maybe option? Is there any maybe option for me though?
Will you see, because we're relegated, or we're in the first division now, it's so different to
Yeah.
what it would have been like if we
Oh
stayed
yeah,
up.
I mean yeah, absolutely.
Aaron Bulger. Decky, go to you first.
Actually, he's gone. Sure.
We're rate him
What would
anyway.
you do though?
Oh,
That's
you
the
want to
question.
see? You want a
Yeah.
rating for him? Is it? 7. I would have kept him, but he's not. Obviously he's gone.
6 and no.
6, I would have kept him. Rory.
Keating.
Yeah.
8 and yes.
9 and yes.
7 and yes.
7. Fucking harsh bastard, you.
I
No, you can't
I have
explain it.
I have a lot of. Okay.
Something I want to follow up on there in a second. Barry Coffey.
4 and no.
Yeah, 5 and no.
4 no.
Bagsy.
6 and yes.
I'm going to agree with you, 6 and yes.
No, I'm not getting a 6 off me. I'd keep him, yeah, but no. 4.
Ollie Byrne. 5 and no.
5 and no.
Yeah, that'll do.
Rockus. Haven't seen him in ages.
4 and no.
2 no.
3 and no. Drynan.
5 and yes.
Yes, 4 and yes.
I feel like the recency bias is coming into it a bit, so I'm going to say 5 and yes. Probably would have said 4. Ben Warman.
8 and yes. No, 7 and yes. Ridiculous. 8. 7 and yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would have kept him as well, yeah.
Ratings, lads. Come on, don't be chickening out here now. Don't be having cop-outs here now.
Yeah, 7, whatever.
Derek Rowley.
Jesus, I forgot him.
Yeah.
He
Definitely
get a
keep
6
him.
and a definitely
I don't-
yes. Yeah.
I don't think you can rate him. He didn't play, he didn't play much, like, but I'd definitely keep him, like, definitely.
For the goal and Rovers alone. Honohan.
Yeah.
Well, he's gone anyway, but
5 and... I would have said yes.
I don't think he's a Rovers
I would have given him
player at all.
a 6. But yeah.
Yeah, I go 6. Oren Crow. Well, I presume we'll be keeping him anyway.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Can't really rate him.
Can't really rate him either. Jimmy Corcoran.
5 and yes.
Corcoran. 5 is about 4 too many.
Okay, 4 and yes. You're right. 4 and yes.
That's not what I said, but anyway.
I know. I didn't say that.
It's 2 and no.
Uh,
Hey, Dan.
I'm gonna give one. I'm gonna be brutally on. No. I'd say 3 and no. Ethan Varian. I'm gonna go with same 3 and no.
3 and no, yeah.
Yeah, 3 no.
John O'Donovan, really like this lad.
Yeah, I'd go
7 and yes.
6 and yes. Purely of his age, 6 and yes, yeah.
Yeah, 6 and yes as well.
Kravchuk, 4 and no.
6 and no. 5 and no. 5 and no.
Yeah, 4 no.
Cian Murphy.
He was injured. 4 and yes.
Yeah, maybe.
2 no.
I'm saying 3 and yes for some reason. Malik Dykesteel.
5 and no.
I'd have him 6 and yes.
Depends on the wages, to be honest with you. If it's 300 quid a week, take him. If it's fucking 900 quid, no.
3 and no. I don't get the fascination people have with him, to be honest with you.
Kostovic.
I think the
10 and yes.
Yeah, I'm saying a genuine 9 and yes.
8.
Rolls Royce.
Jonas, 8 and yes.
6 and
7
yes.
yes.
Jace Kabia.
No.
No comment.
Yeah.
Is there minus ratings?
Could have left it, like. He could have left it.
You're getting bait next time you're out in Secret Garden, lad. Just Joe O'Brien Whitmarsh.
I tell you this much.
I'll give him a 7
yes.
and a yes. Yeah,
It's the
definitely.
same. And Dan Moynihan, I think that's us.
Yeah, I can't really rate him.
Yeah.
So
And
we've got a base of about 7 or 8 players there we're keeping, like.
all right, I'm gonna go. We'll keep this going. Colin Healy. What rating out of 10? No, not yes or no.
Fuck it. This is hard. I 5. But I think he could have been a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, I'm automatically thinking, no, if I give him this and then I have to give Buckley this and then I have to give Holland this, and how do they all stack up against each other then already, yeah, look, Colin. Yeah, 5.
I agree there. Buckley.
2.
Same.
2.
Hollands.
5.
4.
6. Was that a no to Holland or no who I might be bringing up next?
I'm not rating the next one. No, I'm not doing it.
Dorman Usher.
No, not doing it. And I'll tell you why. I'm nose out of joint about the shit that went on between us and himself and whatnot. But at the same time, when I sit down and look at the season, I don't allow that to cloud the judgment. I don't think he's done a huge... yes, he's made mistakes. And yes, he's made big mistakes. But there's this thing still out there. And you saw it, we got lots of tweets about, when's he going to invest? We spent a lot of money this year, right? And we spent it on rubbish, but we spent a lot of money. The man didn't skim and be mean and do all those things. Dan McDonald did a piece in the build-up to the game on Friday. I think he put it out on the Thursday, in which he said, and Dan, I believe Dan when he says things, that we had a bigger budget than Dundalk and a bigger budget than Shells. So the idea that Dermot Usher didn't put his money where his mouth is and the rest of it is wrong, in my opinion.
But no one's saying that, though. Are they?
No, well, there's lots of we got lots of tweets about it and the rest of it. I think he was left down by the people that he allowed to spend his money. My issue with that is, as I said, I don't see any consequences, and those people are still in place, and it looks like they're doing the recruitment for next year, and that worries me, and it worries me a lot, and I think it should worry Dermot. But I'm not going to rate him because, you're
I still back. I still
so different.
back him as owner.
I would too.
But
100%.
I think that there's a lot of, what's the word to use now without sounding like there's a lot of areas need to be improved. Listen to people, I think, is a key one. Stay out of the spotlight. Stay off the pitch. Stay out of the dressing room. Leave the people who are professionals run it. And you do what you're good at. And you're obviously good at running a business. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I did feel sympathy for the man on Friday night. It must be seriously tough to come in to a club like this at the same time and try to run it. I'm sure he did his best.
You come with your eyes open.
And a lot of mistakes were made. I think he's aware of that. And I do think we're going to see a new Dermot Usher in a new Cork City next year. I hope they got it.
Hopefully.
Anyway.
Why next year? Why not now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, well, it can start.
I think he has learned things. He's come back
my
away from the
worry
media.
Is there's a lot of
not
people
tweeting.
and a lot of people involved in football know what's going on and they're staying well away from it. And it's not my opinion. I've been told this by several people in that area, and that's what worries me.
Yeah,
it doesn't help when the main headlines are a fucking 10-pot podcast fighting with the owner. Jesus, we shouldn't even know who the owner is. Same way the chairman of the club. Has anyone ever met him? Has anyone seen him? Has anyone heard from him? It may just be box tick, but that's the way an owner should be as well. The board of management, have you heard from them? No. Is the box ticking exercise? Maybe it is. But that's how an owner of a football club, in football terms, I'm not saying it's what he should do, I'm saying what they do in football, you don't hear from them.
It's probably done.
Somebody said the other day, and it's very true. And look, Pats won the cup yesterday. Gareth Kelleher has owned Pats for 15 years?
Yeah.
If he came up and knocked on my front door and I went out and answered him, I wouldn't know who he was.
Same, yeah.
Absolutely no idea. Absolutely none. And he sits in the background and he changes his managers when he needs to do it. He puts in his investment every year and nobody ever hears from him. And that's ideally the way an owner should run his club. No, everybody knows Kelleher is in complete control of everything that happens at St. Pat's. Complete control. Same with Dermot Usher would be in complete control of Cork City. But as I said,
he should be.
Wouldn't recognise the man if he came up and punched me in the head. If he came up and joined in with Jays Kabia in the secret garden while Kabia was kicking the shit out of me, I wouldn't know. I couldn't say that was Jays Kabia and it was Gareth Kelleher who joined him. I wouldn't.
Well, he just pretended to kick shit out of you. He just shouted at you a little bit.
Jesus.
We have plenty. It's a very full mailbag, so look, we'll get into that. Duncan Noonan, 2 questions here. Who was each of your ideal signings, and have the players deserved the immense support they have got throughout the season? And I followed up and said, can this be lads we have already, or does it have to be from outside the club at the moment? And it can be anyone that you signed to Cork City.
Jack Doherty, number 1 target.
When I was asked this question last year, I snap answered Tunde Owolabi.
Kiss of death, hey?
So I'm kind of afraid to do it this year. Obviously Jack Doherty in the division we're going to be playing in is by far and away the player we should be going after.
Yeah. Not Keating, not re-signed Keating.
No, he's signed. We have Keating. He's signed. We hold all the cards there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
200 grand or piss off. Don't even come talk to us.
Okay. And have the players deserved the immense support they have gotten throughout the season?
Nope. Again, you feel bad for the players who give a shit.
Yeah.
The 3 Keans, as they're going to call them. The 3 Cs, 3 Keans.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think you kind of have to make the distinction between those who care and those who don't. But
yeah, Brendan Daly had a job for you, Decky, for the match predictions this season. Which toe tapper was the most accurate, and what were the percentages for the correct result and correct score? So he wanted you to go through every single one.
We don't. Yeah, we don't even. I couldn't even tell you what predictions I made, so no chance. Yeah. That's availability.
Billy Dorney, long-winded. List of potential management players for chop reprieve outside management. Can we get players to actually play for the jersey for a change? Obviously, we need some established players. This season, crap, never again. United we stand. Kind of covered it all, really. Pretty covered a lot of this. Sean O'Mahony just says, all I say is do not hold back. Say what needs to be said. No room for players / staff hiding anymore. Rory Lally, discuss which players you want to keep and which ones you want to F off. Just don't hold back. After every single player, Usher, etc. That's all I ask. Where would you want Rory to go? Where would you want Rory to go? Came in.
Where would be least offended?
Go away. Nice return home. Well, he's Mayo, isn't he?
Like it was funny yesterday because there was
England.
yeah. Derry, maybe. I mean, they're the least offensive of the clubs who could afford him.
Do you know what? Keating is my blessing to go anywhere.
Do you know what, Scott? He will be eternally grateful for that. He'll march into Liam Buckley's office in a couple of weeks' time when he comes home from holidays and look, Scotty gave me his blessing, Liam. I'm out of here, but do what you want, you know. I have
MVP award in tow.
Spread those wings and just fly, man.
The Rebel Hibby, what gives Damien Delaney any sort of qualification or expertise in helping to choose the next manager?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know is the honest answer. And like, yeah, look, I mean, Damien Delaney had a very distinguished career in England, but the League of Ireland's a very, very different beast. It's a different animal. And yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens with that manager's job.
Dylan Hennebury, do you think the management will learn from the mistakes of mediocre signings, bar a few? Also, do you think any former players may come back to City? It's a dire situation here, but it's nice to think about.
We believe Shane Griffin signed, isn't it? What do we think? I can't remember now.
We said, don't know, was that Premier Division based? I presume all these things would have been Premier Division based, and they all have to be torn up now, you know. But who knows? Is the honest answer. Like, we're a club that is absolutely obsessed, and a fan base that are absolutely obsessed with bringing former players back to the club. You know, it's like, and it's part of the question there, which former players would you bring back? None. Like, they're former players for a reason. You know, I mean, there's a whole wild world of players out there. I do think at times we get way too caught up in looking at former players and bringing them back and doing it. Rarely works a second time. All over in football, all over the world, there's a rule that says don't ever go back. You know,
the magic is
and
gone.
It rarely works a second time round. Like, yeah.
Colm Nolan, breaking the rule of falling in love with on-loan players. What on-loan player did you fall in love with? Kostovic.
Mickey Mellon.
Yeah, if it's this year, it's Kostovic, yeah.
Jester, who's your MVP of the year? We'll go with his first question first. Your personal one, I know Keaton won our one, but for me, again, it is Kostovic.
Kostovic, yeah.
No, I'd have to say Keaton. I don't think Kostovic played enough.
Who would be a good manager for the club?
Like, realistically, we're looking at like probably coaches who are out of jobs, or probably assistant managers. Or like, I don't think we're in for kind of top managers who are at clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And finally, discuss our ownership. I think we already have. Kevin Cronin, we were actually not in the position to weaken the squad, as essentially it was a first division squad anyway. Not a question, but fairly probably accurate statement. Richie Hadlow, did I see correctly? Toe tap members cozying up with club officials out in Bishopstown at the weekend. For shame. Scandal.
He did.
Scandal.
Wayne,
He did.
did you
Toe
meet
tap
any
towers?
club officials out in Bishopstown at the weekend?
I wasn't out in Bishopstown this weekend. I was at home with the kids, so it's definitely not me anyway. Was it you then?
No.
Damien. Was Damien out in Bishopstown this week?
He might have been.
Oh, it's probably Damien, was it?
Probably getting audio from 96.
Declan, where were you this weekend?
I was there at the women's game on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. And did you see any toe tap member cozying up to club members?
I saw Eileen cozying up to the kit man. So I guess that's what they're talking about, is it?
Is that what they're talking about?
Must be. Could only
You
be.
weren't talking to any officials at the club at any point, were you?
I did. I had a conversation. Yeah. Always.
But I thought we weren't allowed to talk to.
I keep talking. People approach me. I didn't approach them. Which is fair enough. You know. So,
Having your cake and eating it, I see. Well, look, we know there's a disciplinary committee at Toe Tap Towers. Well, the disciplinary people at Toe Tap are going to have a word with you after this, so I'll make a HR on the case too.
That's okay. Will I bring a representative with me?
Well, you might as well bring a club representative with you, or a leak. Maybe, I don't know.
Hey! Woo!
Ian Draper says, why no season ticket info yet? Should have 2 scenarios planned, and the first thing, Saturday morning, release details. I think if they released them on Saturday morning, they'd have an absolute war in the quote tweet, so I can definitely see why they didn't do that.
Timing is everything.
Yeah. Something they haven't often got right this season. Dr. Raven, who, if anyone, would you want to retain from the current coaching staff, underage and first league? I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what they do. Well, yeah, all of them. Like, I don't know what they do.
If someone comes in, I'd be keeping on Richie anyway.
100%. 100%.
You have to keep the staff. You can't just switch them day one. It's just, maybe you can bring a new assistant manager in if you want.
Colm Nolan again. What Cork player would win at Takeshi's Castle? I thought about this earlier. I had it in my head.
Hacking in all day long.
Oh, I had it in my head Bagsy. He'd be like nimble for the the rocks and the stepping stones. And he wouldn't beat your man at the end, though. I don't think there's any of them that would.
Can I say Tunde?
Oh, yeah.
I think Tunde would duck and dive and slip and slide, and if there was a multiple person thing, he'd start offside, like, so he'd be 3 feet in front of everybody else.
Oh, poor Tunde.
You could go from there then, But I think Tunde would have a crack at it. I definitely do.
Yeah, he's a lovely man. Iglo Piggle.
That's the hard part, is when some of these players are really nice people, and it's hard to kind of have a go, like.
But I hope he realizes that's a joke, and it just works. It works in the format of the question. That's all it is. Like,
Iglo Piggle.
They see it that way.
Any stuck Division 1 players you think could have a good impact on the team and be brought over with the promise of better pay? We talked about that. It's Doherty, really. Scott Buckley, who's leaving? Cork. Invite Jim Ryan Moses onto the show. Would love to hear him have a rant. Binny, where was the midfield Friday night? None of them held any shape in the middle. Bulger just goes anywhere he wants and was a disgrace. Decky.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
I just saw your face.
You mentioned Bulger. You mentioned Bulger, and Scotty starts busting his whole laugh, and I just waiting for me to think. Look, people see the game differently. Some people see it correctly and believe Bulger is a very good player, and other people see the game wrongly and believe he's not. No, but look, seriously, I think we lacked everything Friday night. We lacked shape, we lacked discipline, we lacked belief, we lacked confidence, we lacked heart, and it was just a thing. But I say it again, in my opinion, Aaron Bulger is a Premier Division player. Obviously, Damien Duff believes he is, and this time last year, he could have went to Shells, and he didn't because he wanted to stay loyal to Colin Healy.
That turned out well.
But here's the thing, Scott. people are calling him a rat and all these things. He could have went last year, and he didn't.
Yeah, I think
because
that's
he
probably
wanted
a bit
to
much,
remain
right,
loyal
to
to
be fair to him.
to call in, you know. So I think people just need to bear that in mind as well. And there'll be those people go, I wish he did go and we wouldn't have been like, you know, it's like, no.
FPL loser comes in. Did we take enough long throws?
I tell you, Bargreen lined up for a long throw against Waterford and he had so much space. I was like, this could actually fucking work. And it bounced in the 6-yard box, and if someone was there, it would have gone in. And everyone, it was waiting for it to happen on the last day. Didn't happen.
I was waiting for Tunde to score. I was like, when he came on, I was like, maybe, just
maybe.
This is written in the stars.
That was another annoying thing. We didn't move for throw-ins. It was blatantly obvious. It's 3 or 4 throw-ins, and I'm surprised Honan didn't get booked for it. Anyway. So.
Dara Murphy, how much are you going to enjoy away trips to Kerry and Ballybuffet? Kerry be good.
I'm looking forward to go. Look, none of us are going to get. There's only 110 tickets or something for Kerry. You're entitled to 10%. The capacity is 1,100.
Decky.
They can sell it out themselves. Cork City get about 100 tickets for that, and everybody's going, well, it'll be great. We all get to go to Mount Talk. Nobody's getting to go to Mount Talk. Like, a very small percentage of our fan base will get to go to Mount Talk, unfortunately, and that's one of the issues with the First Division. I'm looking forward to going up to Ferry Carrick Park in Wexford, because I heard there's a lot of emphasis put on things like respect in Wexford, you know. So I'm looking forward to going up there and experiencing all the respect.
What's his name again?
Undoubtedly shown to Cork
James Kelly,
City.
isn't it?
Yeah, and their players, you know. So I'm looking forward to that.
Edwin Hannon, the last one. Still can't believe Cork City have been relegated. I also follow at Man United, and it's the same failings in both clubs. Obviously, miles apart financially. Very sad. Never thought we'd be relegated.
Aww.
Okay, it's not even. It wasn't really a question.
Man
In the
United.
end.
Well, it is sad, and he's right. Like, it is sad. That's the overwhelming feeling. Like, I haven't gotten angry yet. As I said, I was melancholy Friday night. I was depressed off my head Saturday.
Well, we're finishing up the pod now, so if you want to get going on that,
the anger isn't there yet. I know it's coming, but it's just not there yet. You know,
we'll wait for the Christmas pod.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for the Christmas pod, actually? Because last year, ruined it. Boston.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll see who else departs. Maybe we could have a special Swedish Christmas or something. Ourselves, Dan Kresic, Kevin Kustovic, Albin Vimbo, you know, all sitting around telling Christmas tales from the Cork City dressing room. You know, be interested.
We are at the end of the pod, and this is the part where I say any final thoughts.
Like, what are you going to do? I mean, all I'm thinking of genuinely, since Saturday is, like kind of Scotty said earlier, we presume we're coming back next year, but it's a long off season. But like, if we do this pod again next year, which, as I said, we most likely do, that would be year 4, and 3 of them would have been spent in the First Division. Like, me, like, you know, that's not what we envisaged when we started out. We thought one and done in the First Division, and here it is. No, it is what it is, and you know, we'll deal with it. But like,
it's gonna be a slog,
you know. Yeah, it is. Like, and there's no big game. There's no Waterford. There's no Galway. You 4 games against Cove. Nobody else in that division even matters. You don't even think about them. Who gives a fuck about Finn Harps?
You should have
break
a
cabin, continuity cabin Teely.
Decky,
like,
you're looking at it wrong here.
Like,
you're looking at it wrong. Who's going to make the club accountable for problems? Who's going to point out issues that fans don't know about? Who's going to keep them on their toes? And that's what the job is. Like, it can be a 20-minute pod once a week. It doesn't have to be an hour and 42 minutes 54 seconds like it is now. But you know, you tie in Last Damas into it. You tie in Last Damas, you tie in something, and you make it an hour, cut it to 45 minutes, and throw the rest on Patreon or something. It has to be different to what it is, because you can't be doing an hour and a half talking about Finn Harps and Wexford. It would just drive us around the bend.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's
If we could have half our podcast
Well,
next
like-
year because there's no issues at the club, I'd be delighted.
yeah, that's the thing.
You know?
If everything runs smoothly next year, it's easy. Oh yeah, we won 4-0. Great stuff. MVP was Keith Ward again. Brilliant. Delighted he came down. And no commie watch again this week, lads, because everything's been perfect. Fantastic.
Did we mention the
know?
away jersey?
We didn't. Dan, I was going to mention it, then Dan skipped on and I forgot to go back to it.
It's purple and white. Purple and pink, isn't it?
Purple and pink.
Navy and
Yeah, it's
pink,
like the
isn't it? Navy and pink.
It's like the Manchester United blue one, but instead of yellow, it's pink, I think.
Yeah, it's what do they call it? It's like, you spatter paint on it. And I think we said this a few weeks back when we said about the white jersey anyway. But and that's the other thing. 40th anniversary, 40 years in existence, and we're plugging around in the first division. We've been relegated. This is the third time we've been relegated. I meant to say this earlier as well. Scotty mentioned it, you had the Fen season where it's the COVID season. You'd only 18 games. And then the High Court relegated us for financial misdemeanors the first time. So this is arguably the first time in a full season on full merit we've been relegated on the pitch. First time in 39 years. And it's, sad doesn't cover it, and those at the club need to very quickly get their shit together. This fan base doesn't deserve what it's been put through. And look, last Friday night, fair dues to the club. We said it. They took a busload of volunteers, of match night volunteers, to the game in Tala, who from the club went onto that bus after that game and explained to those match night volunteers why they're going to be volunteering in a first division club next year. I'm going to guess nobody. We didn't acknowledge the 25th anniversary of one of the fans' favourite teams, being presented to the nation in the Aviva yesterday. The club hasn't tweeted. And I know they want to find the tone and set the right tone and everything else. We need to hear from people. We need to hear what the plan is. Is there a 1-year plan? Is there a 2-year plan? Is there a 3-year plan? Who's the manager going to be? Who's doing the recruitment? Whose job is it to do the recruitment? What is Damien Delaney's exact role going forward? What does the board of management actually do? What does the chairman of the club do? Because to me, the answer is nothing, nothing, and nothing. They're all figurehead, and that's fine. It's Dermot Usher's club. He's quite entitled to run the club any way he wants to. And I fully back him in doing that. But just explain to the fan base, explain to the people exactly how Cork City runs, how it operates, who does what. What's Liam Buckley's role? What's his role going forward? Will he be here next year? Why does he work from Dublin? Why hasn't he been in Bishopstown since he resigned as manager or was moved on as manager? There are questions there that people are, you might say, oh, that's the private matters, private runnings of the club. A football club isn't private. That's the whole thing about a football club. It's tribal. It belongs to the city. It belongs to the fan base. It's basically an extension of 13th century, last Friday night would have been a prime example. 13th said the McCarthy clan from Cork would have went over the bridge in Youghal and pillaged the Waterford clans and came back with the profits and the rewards from their pillaging. That was in the 1300s. Now it's the same thing. It's just an extension of that. We don't pillage any longer because it's not allowed. It's frowned upon. But it's still my area. It's my area against your area. We just don't pillage, and it's not the clans, but it's the football clubs fighting it out on the pitch. So why did we go in against Waterford last weekend and we weren't ready to pillage? We weren't ready to fight. We weren't ready to do anything. You know? And like that might be the worst analogy in the history of analogies.
No, it's quite good. It's
know.
quite good, Declan.
And I don't quite know what I'm saying, but like the fans need to hear from the club, and I believe they need to hear from it quickly. I believe that obviously media outlets have requested to speak to Dermot Usher. I believe all those requests at the moment are being turned down. But, you know, I sincerely hoped we would have had a manager in place by now. We haven't. I hope we have one ASAP, and that we can
the evening
start
after
to
the
rebuild. Yeah, it can start to rebuild.
Do we have to
because it needs to start, and it needs to be structured. Yeah, look, no matter when, lads, just so you know, no matter when you announce the manager, the following week there will be a pod. You know,
we could do it the following day.
The following day there'll be a pod, like, you know. So
the thing is, I like this club means a lot to a lot of people, and it goes deeper than just supporting like Man United or Arsenal or Liverpool. It's deep entrenched in our blood. Like it's like
even more so, even within Ireland. Like it's
exactly like, to me, it's everything. City. Like it's up there with the family. Like it means just as much. Like, and I'm trying to drag my little boy into it now, and he loved it last week when he went to the Shamrock Rovers game. Was it? I think it was the Shamrock Rovers game, and I just think that they don't realise how much it means to a lot of people. I think we're just 3, 4, 5, 6 troublemakers on a pod talking. No, it's just, it means a lot to us. That's why. You know, and this is the way we feel that we should make sure the fans understand everything else that's going on in the club that we hear. Just get the finger out and sort it out.
Okay.
Yeah, hear ye.
Are we finished? Have we pillaged the club enough?
I think we all need a break.
Look, yeah, it's honest. Yeah, I think.
Look, everything going on with the club is nothing to do with us. We're just highlighting it.
100%.
That's the problem. We've done nothing wrong here whatsoever.
Yeah, look.
Cheery note. 1 hour and 50 minutes later.
Look, lads, thanks for the year. It was nice. If we don't show up again, if we do show up again, it's been great. 3 years of bliss. We finally got rid of that Shreenan lad.
Yeah.
We will be back.
Yeah. In some guys, I'm sure someone will pick up the mantle if we don't, or something will happen. We'll see. It depends how much the club annoys me in the off season, to be honest. Let's be honest.
Whatever you do, make sure Scotty gets his season ticket before Christmas. If he doesn't, he'll be back.
I don't think I'm going to buy one, do you know that? I don't think I'm going to buy one. I really don't. I can see a lot of those games just going, fuck this, I watch on LOI TV.
Do you know what? It was funny because coming down Friday night, there was 4 of us in the car, and the boys were asking me, like, he goes, the pod going to be back next year? And I was like, I don't know, it's the first division, like it's and this is 2 hours after the game finished, and you're just kind of going like, I just want the world to end, like, you know, and you're not thinking logically. And I was like, will people really want to listen to us talking about games against Continuity Cabinteely or Wexford or whatever it might be?
If this pod doesn't exist, like, people have no voice effectively, or I know they have Twitter, etc.
I know. But what he actually said to me was, well, I'd definitely be listening because I have no intention of going to a game next year.
This is
so if keep up with things, I'll definitely be listening anyway, you know. I was like, is there many people like that who think, you know what, I'm not going to be going next year, and, you know, are we going to lose a certain percentage of the fan base?
Well, the thing is, the listenership, okay, number is doubled every year, like, nearly, isn't it? So
yeah.
It's going to go down next year, and it's a case of, do we do just a half hour every week, every 2 weeks? I don't know. Is it good just leaving a high that we got relegated and we brought the club to their knees again?
Just why we acknowledge that the listenership has gone up for all those Bose listeners. Fucking trophy. Everybody's welcome in Dalymount except trophies. Huh?
All right. Dan, time to turn the lights out. It's it.
Adios, amigos.
Adios. Ciao.
Adios.
I'll be the same.